Have you ever got bored of Minecraft? I'm guessing you have, since you clicked on this video instead of watching another Minecraft one. I've played my own fair share of Minecraft. Hypixel, hardcore, modded. Hell, I even played Among Us, I mean Minecraft VR. And I just got bored, so I started searching for another game like Minecraft, but much harder. Then I found this. A game so difficult it makes you want to rip your hair out. Let me introduce you to VintageStory. It's basically like RLCraft. It's basically like RLCraft, but a lot cooler. With great graphics, while still sticking to the blocky style, of course. Super cool game mechanics like smithing, mechanical power, and so on. But most importantly, it's difficult as shit. You constantly have to think about food, keeping yourself warm, and not dying to wild animals while still trying to progress and get better stuff. So I did what any reasonable human being would do. I tried surviving 100 hardcore days in VintageStory, and here's what happened. A little disclaimer, this is actually going to be a 4-part series since it takes more than twice as long to make and record than a regular Minecraft 100 days, because of the 48-minute day cycle compared to Minecraft's 20. Anyway, back to the video. On day 1, I did some basic starter things like gathering flint, making some primitive tools, and a bed, because I'm afraid of the boogeyman, obviously. Then I started looking for a place where I could settle down and decided to go for a good old hole. Not the first hole I've been in. Then I struggled to make fire for a good 15 minutes. Still faster than cavemen who took 2 million years to make it. And I also started a little farm near the water. Then I made my bed and went for a good night's sleep. On day 2, I had to start solving the food shortage problem, so I did what I had to do. Killed some innocent animals. I also found some copper nuggets near my hole, which is super important later on. I made some bowl molds and a storage vessel mold, because my hands were getting pretty tired after carrying shit around for hours. I fired up the raw molds and dug around where I found the copper nuggets. And here it was, copper. But I couldn't mine it since I needed a copper pickaxe, which makes complete sense. I made a pickaxe mold for when I eventually get enough nuggets to smelt into a pickaxe, since the only way for me to get copper is to find it on the ground, which is a lot harder than it seems at first. On day 3, I killed a very boring boar. Get it? Because it was boring. Anyway, I took its guts and went on my way. I went exploring the ruins that I saw before and got a bronze sai, which was the only decent thing from the entirety of the ruins. Then I made some improvised body armor, because remember kids, protection first. Then I took the now ready molds and made some proper food. I made a crucible and fired it as well as the pickaxe mold. Day 4 started off strong. I went to the mountains and in the first 5 minutes of exploring almost died by falling in this stupid hole. After that near-death experience, I kept on searching for copper nuggets, and after ages of running around, I finally had enough for 3 ingots. When I got home, I made a charcoal pit because copper melts at 1100 degrees, but regular firewood only burns at around 700. Day 5 was nothing special. I made some molds and hit another boring boar, because this time he hit me first, so I killed it and took its guts again. I gathered some stones for the foundation. I gathered some more stones for the foundation of my new house, because the lack of daylight from living in that hole started to make me a bit crazy. When charcoal was done cooking, I melted the copper nuggets and made my first pickaxe. But I had to wait for it to cool down, which was kind of annoying. But it was getting dark anyway, so I just called it a day and went to sleep. On day 6, with my newly crafted pickaxe, I mined the copper vein that was near my house and got chunks of copper. After that, I worked some more on my house, which was starting to resemble something similar to a house, and made some more molds, including an anvil mold, which is required to make more complex tools like a saw. Then I made another pickaxe and a hammer to break the copper chunks into nuggets. And after the hammer was chilling, I turned the copper chunks into nuggets and enjoyed the beautiful scenery. On day 7 I went mining the copper veins that I had found while searching for nuggets in the mountains. As it turns out, under every surface deposit of nuggets, underneath there's always a copper vein. And being the smart and intellectual man that I am, I remembered to pin every surface deposit on the minimap. Day 8 was basically a waiting game. Watching stuff smelt like it's the world's slowest cooking show, but I did squeeze in some action. Kicked off the day by channeling my inner blacksmith and crafting an anvil along with some shiny ingots. Then I went mining for some stones. And then, drumroll please, I crafted a saw. And with that bad boy in hand, I felt like Michelangelo with a chisel. Except I was crafting chests and a shitty table instead of marble masterpieces. But before I knew it, my humble abode was starting to feel less like a shack and more like a home. I gotta go take a quick leak, so I'm just let my girl finish the day 9.
So, day 9 started off with him gathering some morning wood. I'm pretty sure there was meant to be some such joke in there, but I'm not gonna do it. And he practically had enough to start his own forest. Then he spent most of the day slaving away on his house and gathering some materials, contributing to the global deforestation once again, and killed an innocent animal, contributing to endangered species extinction. Let's just say he loves the planet. Then he experimented building with some vertical slabs. It ended up being a lesson in demolition, but at the end of the day, he had done a lot of progress on his house. I'm not doing this ever again. This is so hard, actually.
Day 10. It started off slow with me checking in on my farm, only to realize I was running low on borax for leatherworking. On the bright side, I got some clay to whip up shingles for the roof of my house, fired them up and went mining. Next on the agenda, crafting a quern. But here's the catch. Making a quern involves some serious mining gymnastics. In order to make a quern, you need to get andesite blocks, and in order to get andesite blocks, you have to mine around an andesite block for it to drop the andesite block itself instead of andesite stones. And after making the quern, I used it to make crushed quartz from chunks that I had found on the ground earlier. Then I tossed some leather into a barrel for a nice soak, and with that, it was lights out for me. On day 11, I gathered some more morning wood until I was interrupted by this gigantic beast of a bear. So being the coward that I am, only able to take on those smaller than me, I ran back home scared as shit. But I didn't let the fear paralyze me for long. I crafted some spears and built up the courage to face the beast, until it stood up and grew even larger. So I started throwing some shit at it, and it didn't seem to make it very happy. Then in a stroke of genius, or madness, I remembered that bears are scared of fire, so I used its biggest fear to my advantage. I started chasing it down, but it got so scared of my fire stick that it decided to drown itself. Even the biggest of animals have their own breaking points. And after it drowned, I took its guts and kept on working on my house. I made some roofing from the shingles that I had fired and started placing them down, and the house was starting to come together. But of course I ran out of shingles, because life has a way of keeping you humble. I somehow completely lost footage of day 12, so I'm just gonna tell you what I had written down in my notes. I did things. Don't know what things. Yep. That's it. On day 13, I went searching for fire clay, since regular clay is not good enough to make a woman out of. Not a woman, what the fuck? An oven out of. After running around for solid 20 minutes, I finally found some. After getting home, I made a prospecting pick. Now you might be wondering what a prospecting pick is. So you basically mine around and it shows you the percentage of ores found in that area. Makes sense? Good. And I also made a Falx blade for protection. Then I smelted some more things and went to sleep. On day 14, I stumbled into an even more gigantic bear. This time though, I wasn't feeling particularly heroic, so I went mining with my new prospecting pick, but it ended up crushing my dreams by revealing absolute shit in terms of ore richness around my place. Oh, and I remembered what else I needed fire clay for. It's for making a bloomery. The key to glass making. Quartz, with its high melting point, needs a special treatment, and the bloomery can provide it. So I fired it up and found out that you can actually sit in this game. On day 15, my glass finished smelting and I got to work making glass slabs by sawing the glass block in half with a saw. Don't ask me how that works, it's just magic. With my glass slabs in place, my house was looking good. I made a spear for, again, protection, and decided to start making a bow. But first, I had to dry the bow stave, which is the long part of the bow basically, for it to be bendy, I think. Don't quote me on that, I'm no bow expert. And after that, I did my favorite activity, killing innocent animals. But not because I was hungry, but because living alone in the wilderness makes you a bit sick in the head. And I guess I angered some ancient Greek gods, because I started tripping balls. Everything was starting to move, walls talking to me, dirt was defying gravity, and so on. After the gods gave up on dragging me to death, the Satan himself joined in on the fun by sending a couple of his ugly monster to do the dirty job, but nothing stands between me and my love of killing innocent animals. So I killed the ugly minions, and with ease. Just when I thought the madness was over, one of those sneaky monsters tried to ambush me in my own basement. Rookie mistake. So I killed it and finally went to sleep. On day 16, I worked some more on my house and the farm. Then after making a new pickaxe, I went searching for tin with my prospecting pick. And after a while, I found a promising spot to dig down, but I had to wait for the next day since it was already getting dark. Day 17. I made some tools and went searching for tin. Again. And that's how I basically spent the whole day. But I did get attacked by a couple of baddies and a boar. My apologies. A boring boar, but that was quickly taken care of. Day 18. It was a good day. I finally found tin, and now I could finally make bronze tools. So I mined it all up and got molested by 2 monsters before bringing it home. And I made another chest because shit was starting to pile up. And I was pretty tired of contributing to water pollution by throwing all my shit into the lake. Gotta keep those fishies happy, am I right? Or am I left? I am so fucking sorry. Day 19. I harvested some of my crops and made tin bronze by smelting copper and tin together in the right proportions. I made some tools out of it and found this little sucker stuck in a hole. Harmless as it was, I was feeling oddly bloodthirsty that morning, so I killed it. RIP little buddy. And what a better place to honor its memory than by turning its grave into a charcoal pit. After that, it was time to put my hunting skills to good use, this time for food, not just sport. And I was feeling pretty proud of my achievements. Now that I had a tin bronze pickaxe, I could finally mine the borax deposit near my home, and it meant that I could finally start doing leatherworking. I put some borax powder along with some leather in a barrel for soaking, made some food and went to sleep. On day 20, I went looking for zinc to make bismuth bronze later on. I looked at some pinned points on the map and went to the one which had the highest percentage of zinc. After some digging around, I finally found it. Then I just basically did some more chores and went to bed. On day 21, while searching for bismuth, I learned an important lesson. The deeper you go, the warmer it gets. And the warmer it gets, the faster your sanity starts to drop. While searching for bismuth, a scary baddie spawned in my shaft, and I got scared and blocked myself in. But I kept digging around the previous staircase and eventually found bismuth. After depleting my world out of its resources, I started ascending to the surface. And while mining up, I suddenly started taking damage from the heat, I think. And my sanity started to drop fast. But eventually I managed to get to the surface and home safely. At home I started making bismuth bronze, but it was taking too long, so I went to sleep. I started the day 22 by making bismuth bronze tools and started chasing down this funny looking guy. Then I put some scrapped hide into a barrel with oak water smoothie for making leather, and then made the most important thing for self-defense, a shield. Now that I was basically unkillable, I harvested my crops and stumbled upon a pack of wolves, so I started killing them from a distance, one by one. Then, while making some more bismuth bronze tools, I started hearing sounds coming from my basement, so I went to investigate only to find this sucker hiding in there. So we started throwing punches at each other, but eventually I won. On day 23, I went into the forest searching for beehives, but I had a reason. Other than destroying my world in as many ways as I can, I wanted to get wax for making candles and lanterns later on. And I guess honey is a pretty sweet reason for it as well. Pun intended. Then I went home, squeezed the honey out of the honeycombs, and did some chores before going to sleep. On day 24, I started making alcohol to feed an addiction. I promise I'm sober. Then I started preparing for the big day 25 by gathering materials for a windmill. Then I made some more storage because I'm too lazy to throw out all the shit that I don't need. And that's pretty much it for day 24. Day 25, a quarter of the way there, but also the last day of this video. At the start of this adventure, I made myself a goal of making a windmill by the end of day 25. So I went into the forest searching for resin needed for making parts of the windmill, and found something. I let the clip speak for itself. Native silver! So I pinned it on the map and found resin moments after. Then I finished making my oven and did some more leatherworking. Life was looking good. Until this boar came out of nowhere. After making it out of the forest in one piece, I checked it on my farm, and the last piece of flax needed for making a sail for the windmill was, unlike me, mature. So I harvested it and made a sail. Then I started making the windmill, and it was quite a hassle to get the rotor in place. After making it, I tested it out with my quern. It was quite slow, but at least working. And with that done, my goals were pretty much completed. But the day was still young, so I started decorating my place by adding some paths and fences in front of the farm. Then Then I celebrated the end of day 25 by making this giant wooden peanut. And with that, all my goals are done and my place is looking pretty good for 25 days of not dying. It was a lot of fun making this video, so I hope you enjoyed it as well. And if you did, make sure to keep an eye out for part 2, or just turn on the bell thingy. That's it from me. Have yourself a great day or night and see you on part 2. At the start of this adventure, I made myself a goal by Shut the fuck up. At the start of this adventure... At the
end of the day is night.
At the end of the day is night. At the start of this...
Learn how to speak before you make a video. What the fuck?
Oh! Fat fucking pig.
Did you just call me?